Hello and welcome to Mama Kay's Kitchen. Today we're going to talk about how to chop sweet bell peppers. So we're going to talk about, first I want to tell you that actually all bell peppers are just different stages of development. And that's something that some people don't know, is as they get darker, they change colors. So they're all basically the same strain, but there are different varieties. And recently, and I talk about this in my blog post, some people have said that whether they have 3 or 4 bumps on the bottom of green peppers, that they taste different. That really isn't the case. You can read about it. I've linked to an article that's more scientific than anything I can tell you. But the sweet versus better for cooked have nothing to do with the bumps. They have everything to do with the variety. So, what we're going to talk about today is how to remove the seeds so that you don't have to deal with them while you're chopping, the different cuts, julienne, a large dice, which is this, and the smaller dice, which is this. So, let's get started. Okay, to get started, this is a little different than a lot of people learn, but if you go around the top, and some people prefer a smaller knife to do this with, but you go around the top like this, make a circle, okay, and then when you're finished, you just pull the top off. That way you don't have to deal with the seeds. Isn't that great? Alright, then, the easiest way, if you see that, I also prefer to cut the bottom off. Then I cut down where one of the membranes is, right next to it. And you cut off this little bit right here. This little bit right here. And this little bit right here. Now you're ready to chop your pepper. Oh, got a little extra bit there. So you can either julienne, which is thin strips like this. You can chop into a larger size chop, if that's what you prefer, or you can do what's called a fine dice, which is smaller bits. It's also easier if, when you cut your pepper, if you cut it with this side up rather than the outside part up. Because if you have an older pepper that's starting to get a little soft, this one isn't, but it can smush down, and then you don't get the nice sharp dice on it, where if it's up, you will. Okay, if you're not confident with your knife skills, or you don't have a really good knife, this is another way that you can chop, and it's also really good if you have a lot to chop. For example, we make 10 pounds of barbecue at a time. Therefore, we chop a lot. Now, this particular model, it's called an alligator chopper. If you look at the post that I wrote for this on www.movingtowardbetter.com, there's a link that you can find one of these. This particular one has a slicing blade. It also has a large chop blade, and it has a smaller chop blade. So I'm going to show you with 3 different pieces of a pepper. Now, one of the things you have to do when you use this is, I'm going to use all 3 just to show you how it works. Turn it this way so you can see the product when it's done. Now, obviously I can't put this over here, so it needs to be smaller. So I'll cut it into thirds. Now, the other thing I want to show you is, if it's longer than that, it's not going to work very well. So in this particular case, we're going to cut that just a little smaller. The other thing we found is, once again, you want to cut this inside part first. So you press down, makes a lot of noise, so be prepared. Scares animals sometimes. The other thing that I do with mine is I put a little piece of tape at the end because the top tends to come up a lot. So that one little move, and you've got a nice julienne cut. Now I'm going to move to the big slice Brit of you can do the large dice. And you can see the large dice there. Now if you only have 1 or 2 peppers to do, obviously you're not going to want to get this all dirty for that. You just use your one knife. But if you've got multiples to do, it works really well. Also works really great with cucumbers and onions and celery, if you've got a lot of that to do. So, and then this is your finer dice. Again, just be ready because it is kind of noisy. Alright, and then you've got your fine dice there. Isn't that awesome? This is called an alligator chopper, and like I said, I'll put the link, I'll put it in the comments for the video, and I will also put it in the blog post for how to chop a pepper. So, check it out. So there you have it. Diced peppers of all colors. Now, all we need to do is find something to make with it.